From IEEE India Council Vaani, the newsletter of IEEE India Council 2022 and 23. I am Ramnik, the editor of IEEE India Council newsletter, the Vaani. And as you know, we already shoot it out and inaugurated the Vaani podcast, one of the another initiative to get to know about directly from experts on different domains like career development, entrepreneurship development, skill development, and different kind of themes what you shared with us all across the India Council survey. With that, I am glad and we are privileged to welcome our first keynote and podcast speaker with us today, Harish Srinivasan. Harish, over to you.
Uh, thank you, Ramnik. Yes, I've always been happy to be part of the initiatives of IEEE. So thanks for taking that passion forward in whatever you do. So happy and looking forward to the conversation.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Harish. It's a same likewise experience with me as well, wherever I connect with you. And it's really good to see a lot of entrepreneurs like you to get started into IEEE and specifically India Council, because at India Council from this year, we are focusing on more to enhance the visibility of the entrepreneurs and startup
Mhm.
founders who are all around India to showcase and motivate our IEEE members so that they
Okay,
can kickstart their journey in entrepreneurship and their own personal development. Moving
wonderful.
on, yeah, moving
Yeah,
on to the get started on the agenda, I would like to welcome you to introduce yourself because it's a bad habit for us to introduce because it would be
yeah,
good that you can introduce yourself fully and what you do and why do you do.
sure. So basically, yeah, this is Harish. I'm one of the co-founder of this organization called Infinite Engineers. So we have been into these edtech ecosystem for the last 8 years, and like the key thing that we were doing, we were sort of solving in the education system is to make learning more connected to the children. What I mean is to make it more experiential and more hands-on for the children, because we always believe that children are natural learners, or anybody per se are natural learners by doing it. So we feel in our education system where the focus is more on rote-based memorization and exams oriented, we feel that a lot of these skill development happens through hands-on. So we have been sort of fixing that sort of puzzle by setting up maker spaces in schools, adult tinkering labs, by designing innovative tools that could help children to express their learning. And we actually design learning experiences, and that's what we are sort of passionate about. And it's been a wonderful journey learning from the children and moving forward. So, and also be exciting space. When new technology tool comes, we always would love to embrace it and then sort of take things forward and exciting years ahead for us. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful, and always being motivated by the motivation of the objectives of Infinite Engineers. I guess our viewers will able to get what we are trying to make them reach to, that is pre-university education and the STEM education primarily. So, according to
Yes.
you, what is STEM and STEM learning, and how we can make it accessible to many of the students across the India and across the globe?
Got it. STEM seems to be a sort of very fancy word in very recent times. So we had a lot of people using it in different ways. I'm able to understand that even for me, it took us, even for us, infra engineers, as we mature, even our perspective of STEM is changing. So initially we felt, okay, initial years of us, we felt STEM is robotics, STEM is technology. And over the period, we realized that STEM is sort of an acronym which has the capability and power to reach to so many people to change their perspective of what learning is. So I feel STEM naturally or organically became that term that could sort of unite the learners and teachers around. And and as we go around and face the career or whatever we go and do outside, like we don't see it as I'm doing a science work, I'm doing a math work, I'm doing a technology work, right? Workforce is sort of becoming very multidisciplinary in nature. And this this is a school education where you have been sent to different classrooms, or in your own classroom, different teachers comes and teaches different subjects. We always created those boundaries. So I feel, in my perspective, STEM is uh, a field where these boundaries are sort of removed, and you see things as projects, you think things as problems, and all these are connected. You need all these learnings, be it any disciplines, to come together. And there is an essence of collaboration in STEM. See, if I'm good in certain things, and if Ramnik is good in certain, like, let's collaborate and solve it together. And that putting strengths together is ideal puzzle. So I feel STEM, and even people add A to it and call it STEAM or stream, whatever it is. I feel whatever that is, but STEM stands for sort of collaboration, where you bring learnings from different fields. And what if, imagine there could be a situation in your school environment or college where different subjects are integrated together, and you have the freedom to express your learning through applications. So I feel that's where STEM, according to me, is, and it's sort of ever evolving, and people are now also changing their perspectives of STEM. STEM is not just robotics. Even a simple cardboard, using simple cardboards, if children build certain structures, for me it's STEM. I mean, they're not just, while they use the cardboard, they're cutting it, measurements are involved, there is sort of engineering involved in building things, and they also know about the what is the science behind the cardboard material. So it's naturally there is so much of disciplines integrated. And for me, next few years is very important, especially for India, in terms of taking this forward to grassroots level. And through Atal Tinkering Labs, we saw it. Yes, there has been setting up of these labs, even tier two, tier three cities. Without that, imagine a government school child is getting access to a 3D printer or access to these technologies per se is very important for us. And doing it in the right ways is more important. Yes, keeping those materials alone are not, for me, yes, I've reached the tool, and I don't think so that is accessibility. Along with the tool, what kind of support system are we giving to them? And that is more important. And we being in Chennai always felt that India is huge, right? I mean, even I go 100 kilometers away from my home, there is so much of depth of thing that we can do over there. And it's challenging, but I think there's a lot of NGOs, there's a lot of wonderful people are going on ground and doing, and we're just working, looking forward to work along with them more in the upcoming years and make it accessible. And imagine when these children or students get access to these technologies, we don't know what the job of future could be, but these skill set would take them forward in terms of setting their own enterprises. We don't know, or what problems they could solve in the future. There could be immense potential that could come out of it. So I feel next few years, IEEE is doing wonderful work, and we are looking forward to work with organizations like these to see how we could take it to a very grassroots level. And I think they will show us the way forward of applications.
Wow, that's really great to know, like what you are doing and why you're doing, and specifically the part where you mentioned, like in Chennai, a small city, or maybe kind of where you want to reach out to maximum the schools across the India level. It's very challenging as an entrepreneur, and I really sense that because I've been working in IEEE as a volunteer to motivate the pre-university students as well as parents and teachers to get to learn about these things. On to
Mm.
the same notes, it's like very challenging when we think about shifting from academic based learning to the project based, all on the hands-on skill based learning. So
Yeah.
what do you think about it? Like how can we amend this hands-on skill based learning to our existing education system, and how challenging it is from an entrepreneur point of view?
So, so as an edtech organization, so we added tech also to it because we feel we should also embrace at one point in time with hands-on technology is also an integral part. But as you see, there's a lot of companies now who are scaling fast that we are seeing now are more into digital learning ecosystem where it's purely videos. Yes, there is a learning out of it. They are solving some of the important problems as well. But what challenges hands-on gives is it's not easy to run a hands-on session in a classroom. Even I can say that, okay, our education system is more on road-based, but I'm also having one more perspective or one more empathizing I'm doing because I've also been a teacher in terms of conducting these hands-on sessions. Imagine in our Indian context, in one classroom, you could easily see 40, 50 children in a classroom. And managing them or itself, it's too challenging for any teacher across. I mean, they're spending so much of effort. And imagine to deliver those lessons, even in a traditional one directional way is very difficult, because you need to capture the attention of all the 50 children who are very unique. When it comes to hands-on, there is 3 to 4 times extra effort that is needed in the classroom. But if it's done right, the outcome that you get out of it is immense. So we are also figuring out a model where, yes, it's extra work, but what if we could plan really well? Imagine I'm spending 2 or 3 classroom sessions to teach a particular concept, but what if I use a simple hands-on technique or a demonstration or a simple activity that could explain them the concept in just 5 minutes? So our planning is very important. Yes, there needs to be an immense planning, but what if we could deliver the concepts efficiently and teachers find the benefit of it? I feel that's a return on investment for teachers as well, for the schools. Yes, I'm able to reach the concept in the way that children loves. And what if that concept is retained within them for many years to come? And what if they can apply those concepts in real life? These are the benefits or return on investment that education person needs to calculate. It's not that amount of delivery that we do, right? It's not about how much concepts you teach, but it's all about how much of concepts it's been retained in the way that we want them. It's not just about memory. It's also about how they sort of apply that in the real life they go outside, right? So this sort of return on investment is something that hands-on learning has so much powerful. So what we are also thinking on the lines is, I mean, I've also seen Try Engineering and sort of other platforms which you also discuss later. Can we build lesson plans, hands-on lesson plans that any teacher and even localized? I'm not saying one lesson plan would work for all, but what if we could have a template that teachers could work around and link hands-on uh, related stuffs? And what if a teacher could inspire so many other teachers? If I see a model, if I see one teacher teaches atoms in a very fun and interesting and hands-on way, it's a it's a very difficult concept. But what if they are giving certain analogies? What if that model could be sort of replicated in other classrooms by other teachers? And it could always evolve. So I think here I'm not talking about changing education system or changing education policies. So this is not in our control. But what is in our control is the 40-minute period that we are going to teach in the classroom is in our control. Every teacher has the control. And how I'm introducing the concept is in my control. So wherever there is a control and autonomy for the teachers and schools, can we play around that freedom and then make sure how much of a time they spend on a particular concept, it is qualitative. It is a quality time. It's not just delivery of information is given. I actually sort of remember it or memorize it without even understanding or connecting to that concept. Then that 40 minutes, it's sort of not what to say. Teachers are spending the effort, children are spending the time, but it's not converted into a quality time. That return on investment is not there. So I feel that's where we feel we could work uh, with. I mean, it can be done only through collaborations. Yes, new education policy is wonderful, but what if we could go deep and then figure out how we can achieve that through these lesson plans, through these hands-on embedded lesson plans, which using simple materials. Again, when people say hands-on, they always feel I need to invest huge on the materials per se. Uh, so one instance is there is a tool called Foldscope, which is a very paper microscope, and which we have been sort of using it. And again, sort of invented by an Indian origin scientist in abroad. So all these tools, if it could get into classrooms, one is tools needs to be cost effective. More people needs to develop these tools in a very affordable way. That is one thing. And next, these tools needs to be accessible to these schools through any funding or CSR initiatives. ATOL is one. The government has funded this, but otherwise or not, the schools will not be able to invest on it. So we wanted these players to get these tools to grassroots level and imagine the learning coming out of it. It would be immense, the outcome. And I feel no exam could measure those outcomes. Our traditional exams could not measure. Maybe we could have portfolios, project portfolios, and imagine the whole parallel ecosystem that will slowly develop around it. And you could see our traditional ecosystem will sort of slowly break down and then accommodate these things. I see it as a more of a transition, not just in one policy, everything won't change, but slowly can we sort of take over the traditional ecosystem inch by inch. And I think that sort of possibility that I could see with technology, with smart boards getting in, with AR, VR. I mean, even if tools are not there, but what if through AR, just using the mobile phones, can be able to sort of visualize certain concepts? So I feel if these things are put into a structure, I think there could be a lot of possibilities. Yeah.
No, there are like that's really great insights, and you have touched around 3 points what I like the most to make our audience aware about it. The first one which you talked is the collaboration. In IEEE, we always believe that in that fact, why not a single volunteer, even he is not part of any IEEE OU, kind of he is a
Mm.
part of a section as a YP or as a graduate student member. They think, hey, we can't do anything because we are not part of a college student branch of IEEE. It's not like
Mm.
that. You can collaborate with the organization, you can do events, activities together, and IEEE OUs and committees are there to support you with every possible thing that you spread the awareness about. Coming to the second point, which you highlighted, that is putting hands-on lesson plan as kind of a template to all the people, universal template across the globe, so that everyone
Yeah.
in India, specifically schools, can use it. And
Got it.
specifically implementing, if I say, uh, every state has their own language. Let's say Tamil Nadu. So Tamil Nadu
Yeah.
will have Tamil language. So why not we can have a template, translatable template, which Tamil schools can use it. And
Mhm.
similarly happening to North India, West and East. That's how maybe we can work around that particular
Yeah.
factor. Coming to the last point which you highlighted about IEEE Try Engineering. So what do you think? Like, I hope you have explored about it, and let me
Yeah.
give the insights to our audience beforehand so that you can also jump off what you think about IEEE Try Engineering and what kind of differences it
Mhm.
may make if we publicize it more smoothly and quickly to our pre-university grounds and as well as IEEE
Mhm.
volunteers so that as a college graduates, they can also
Yeah.
spread the information to the nearby schools. So to everyone on the call and to everyone who are looking and hearing this podcast, IEEE Try Engineering is one of the portals recently launched few years back, and where the IEEE Education Activity Board US is working around to build up some of the templates, exercise and experiments and different kind of
Mhm.
gamifications to put together into one portal. So this portal is divided into three parts. One is for the pre-university students, like the school students who can participate and explore these 3D printing, aeronautics
Mhm.
engineering, and different kind of domains you can explore via different kind of sources. And the second one is for teachers, pre-university teachers, how they can download the pre-planned lesson plans, specifically in English. And we are working towards translating as well. I hope the future is already out
Mhm.
on the website. And the third one is volunteers. Now, this is a kind of a misconception in IEEE members ground. They think, hey, IEEE Try Engineering and pre-university education,
Mhm.
IEEE doesn't work in that way. No, it's not the way. IEEE Try Engineering and EAP is actually specifically working on this particular factor very strongly. How to
Mhm.
bring college graduates, graduate student members, and YPs and professors from colleges and universities to bring on to them for spreading the awareness about STEM,
Yeah.
specifically what we talked about. So, what do you
Mhm.
think, Harish, about IEEE Try Engineering and how it can make impact and how we can enhance it?
I think that's a very wonderful space. So I see it as engineers giving back to the society. So I feel that is the way because I feel even I did my engineering, but in my school days, there is actually I've not spoken to sort of uh, what to say any engineer before that, before I even enroll, to even get that awareness. Maybe I would ask my school teacher, but even they had not had the awareness of being an engineer because they have been from the teaching background, right? Because that's how our thing is. But what if there are so much wonderful engineers out there which IEEE has connects through their memberships? And I see this portal as a window where I could go and access and see what is that engineering world is, even before getting into it. So I'm getting a sneak peek view of what that world is. And even there are some interesting activities that I could even try it now. It's not about just knowing it as an information. There is also a specific site in Pi Engineering where I get to understand about different engineering disciplines. What is an aerospace engineering? What is, I mean, there is a lot of engineering that they have maybe briefed in a very nice way. And they didn't stop there. They also had lessons or activities that children can even do now. Even where I'm now, to get introduced to what is STEM, what is these technologies, engineering, and that's a whole power, right? I mean, I'm able to become. I'm not saying I need to go to an engineering degree to become an engineer, but what if I can be an engineer now, or else I can think like an engineer now through these activities and see where I'm good at. I mean, is it something that I love doing? Is it something that I'm more passionate about? So imagine, even before joining engineering or whatever higher studies you do, you spend 6 to 8 years through schools where you could get to do these activities and becomes you get to know yourself better. I mean, you're actually able to discover yourselves better through these activities, lesson plans, or it could be even that I also saw a point where meet an engineer. Maybe I don't know clear what is meet an engineer. Maybe they could get to interact or have a video bite of an engineer who's working in different disciplines. Maybe I think those are uh, the awareness that I needed. What if we could talk to an engineer, interact with an engineer from different parts of the world, and what if I could ask them questions of what it is like to be in that work to solve problems? I could myself put my thing there and see, okay, yeah, I really like that. I want to become that. I want to equip myself to be that. So this is sort of a guide this tool is becoming. I'm also willing to see how we can take this forward to more schools. And maybe I want all the schools to sort of take up this platform and use it as part of their curriculum connections. What if they could say, okay, like let's do this try engineering lesson plan today. I mean, try engineering itself is a nice thing, right? You try it. I mean, you try it and see whether that's something that you love doing, and you do it without unconsciously every day. Yes, but here it's sort of we are giving them the right terminologies to think like an engineer and say like give them I mean, there is no better career guidance than this, right? Because I don't believe in a career guidance where a couple of person come to your space and then they give lectures on what you should be pursuing. But rather you try it before them and say that okay, I love doing it. I love coding. I actually starting to coding now. I actually love to build websites, but what if I can pursue that more? What if that comes within you? And that is what trying engineering is offering. I think it has an immense potential if it's taken through schools, through institutions, and reached more children on ground. I think for translation, yes, there'll be a lot of people. I didn't explore that future now, but if there are government schools here who's looking for those, we'll be happy to collaborate with people here to translate it to Tamil, or there are a lot of volunteers willing. So I think this making it localized, making this part of the school structure would take that even more, and then we could see the real essence of a school itself becoming a part of a small sort of an institution who becomes a STEM school. Every school could become a STEM school when they sort of adapt this, right? But yeah, I mean, I'd also be diving deep more into the platform and then learning along the way.
No, yeah, that's great to know about your insights about IEEE Try Engineering, and hopefully after watching this podcast and hearing this podcast, a lot of IEEE India Council members will also explore the power of it and they will spread the message of it. So, coming to the next question which I have for you, specifically, it's very difficult. I have seen your profile like since the beginning when we got connected via IEEE activity where we were engaged 2 years back in IEEE Women Engineering Project-Based Learning School Camp. I have
Mhm.
seen your profile that you have been connecting with thousands of students, parents, and teachers across school and pre-universities across India and outside as well. So how you balance it? Because specifically for me, it's very difficult for me to balance the life as well as balance all these volunteering activities with my work schedule, which I do 8 to 5 p.m. But what about you, as an educator and versus entrepreneurship, right? All the things what
Yeah.
you're doing at Infinite Engineer and connecting with the student, how you balance it?
So I think I don't have any fixed formula for that because I'm learning along the way, because there's a lot of times that I feel down because it's very difficult to have both of these phases, right? I mean, being an educator and an entrepreneurship. So I mean, at one point it feels like it is two different, I mean, two parallel journeys. But here, what I'm trying to do is I'm figured out my passion in education after starting Infinite Engineers. So you won't believe I've not had any professional learning experience working in a company. So right out of a college, we started this. with an intention of change whatever could be possible. So my whole passion started in figuring out how I can sort of serve. Now I got a very good stage now. So Infinite has growing really well. Even though there are challenges, we have stuck to it. That is a passion that is moving forward. Now I feel I have a stage set, and what I could do now. One is I could do something what I mean, I don't say regular, but very monotonous thing that'll always fetch revenue. For example, competitive examinations. I'm not saying that is we should not do that, but for me, yes, there are people who are already doing that well. But what if there are certain areas that is challenging that people say is not scalable, that people say is it won't fetch sort of revenue or it's difficult, and we have always been hitting that space hard. And even though we are still a bootstrapped company, we still feel we have been passionate in what we're doing, and we feel we are ready for many more years to come also. We are ready to sort of be in this space, and then giving that consistent effort will always give us that return. I mean, maybe it gets delayed, but it'll definitely come. So when I feel down, I always see there is so much children out there that I've not even touched yet, to be frank, because there's a lot of NGOs who are doing some wonderful work on ground. And being a private limited company here, yes, there are something that we need to survive as a business. At the same time, what is that impact that will sort of give me the satisfaction? If I look back 10 years later, I should not feel, okay, I've done another edtech business and that's it. But what if that impact stays with the child for many years? I want that impact to have more lifetime value. If it's an exam thing, once exam is done, over. I mean, what does it impact within me? But whatever we do it in hands-on or skills per se, imagine a child later says that, okay, through this maker space at the lab, I got that needed exposure for which I'm thankful for what I'm doing now. These are the things, stories that we're looking forward, that we already had seen, that will keep us motivated, right? And now our biggest challenges, India is a very challenging country, right? We have a diverse background of people. There is so much that we could serve here. And when I see a lot of companies outside or other foreign countries, and we can't, I mean, recently also I read an article how a lot of these Finnish school systems are coming into India. Okay. It's not easy to put a system that is working there directly in India, and you can't imagine it to work. India is a country that you need to uh, go deep on ground and really understand their pain points and then solve it. So we also feel there is long way that being in education alone, it takes a lifetime. It even within my lifetime, I don't know how much I can sort of be an impact, but it needs that lifetime investment of years to be in a sector that could impact so many people. And even after you leave out of this world, but your impact stays. So I strongly believe that. So being in education sector is one of the reasons that I stay here, and I'm pretty sure I'll stay for the rest of my life, because that's the commitment that I given to my team or to my family, that this is the sector that I love being. And I know there is a lot that I could do. I mean, I know there are certain areas that I'm still falling short of. It's basically my own self-analysis, right? So I know my potential. I know what I'm delivering now. I know when I feel down, okay, what is the reason? So these are things will again wake me up. But yeah, with a team, with a support system is what one could sort of go forward. And pretty recently I've started connecting to more people in LinkedIn, because there are so much people. LinkedIn is so much powerful now, where I could connect any person in the world and get on a chat. There are so many educators. So I'm looking forward to create a community where I could interact and then see. It's a very global thing. I can't say like I'll connect with people only here, but what if I could learn from anybody outside in the world and see what best I could do to my context, to my community here, is what I'm looking forward. So, but it's a long way to go. But I'm thankful for people like you who are always inspiring in terms of doing things for the community per se. And I think I'll take this as a motivation to do more.
I would say on to that particular statement that I motivate and inspire you. It's not kind of that. It's a cross inspiration. We learn from each
Yeah.
other along the way. Uh, the last part, which I also face personally, and a lot of IEEE volunteers are facing, uh, when we go ahead and approach the pre-universities or schools in India, public or private, how we motivate them, and specifically when we tell them, hey, this is what we are doing, and they say, hey, this plan is not so good. You have to modify this agenda and blah blah blah. You must have those instances, right? When you feel low and hey, why this school is not approving my project? Why they are
Mm.
not giving me authority and permission to host my event or activity? What do you do at that moment? Do you like ignore them and move forward to another school, or how you balance and how you face those challenges?
So I feel it's a lot about the time, because I could really connect between 2014-15 when we are taking these STEM activities back then. I know what was the response back then, and now over the time, the perception is changing. It took us 8 years. Yes, it took us those much amount of time when a school who said no initially is again coming back saying that now I feel, yes, this is the way to go. And that's the time it needs, maybe, because I can't quicken those time. Maybe COVID, I mean, maybe fasten certain things in terms of adopting these technologies or learning, building skills. A lot of possibilities have been unlocked. But I think there could be a force. Imagine it would be nice, right? I mean, to fasten these things, but I also feel it should also grow organically, because it will be more sustainable that way. So I feel I could see a lot of colleges are now facing a threat, because I've seen a lot of I've met certain colleges who feel uh, that they have closed certain departments. I mean, even the core departments they have closed, including mechanical, civil, and they have opened uh, robotics, AI, and all those stuff, which they felt admissions are more. So even the threat, could school come to schools as well? Because right now you see so much of possibilities children are learning through online portal or through community-based learning. They're moving out. A lot of homeschooling has been emerging. But being all said, schools and colleges will definitely evolve and adapt to this, and they should be, right. I mean, depending on the needs of the skills. I feel now a lot of institutions are opening their own uh, uh, multi universities in a model where they are putting up their own online academies, online certification courses for specific skills, and colleges are becoming autonomous in terms of having their own sort of curriculum or having flexibility in the curriculum. And new education policy also says it need not be 4 year course anymore, but what if we could have flexible 1 2 3 year course, and what if we could have multiple subjects integrated? So I see that is sort of a way forward, and I could see now schools are starting to realize the need of, okay, what if I could reimagine my computer science lab? Most schools have felt that computer science lab is the most underutilized resource in almost most of the schools, where students are learning Word, Excel, and all those stuff, which they naturally do it when they just have the laptop, they'll figure it out. But what if these coding or app development, web development gets into these schools? And imagine the potential. Now schools are willing to explore, and they say, okay, what if CBS has introduced artificial intelligence course for grade 6, 7th, 8th? And those are wonderful step. I mean, that's a step. And in implementation of school will feel, okay, how can I sort of integrate AI into my computer science period? How I can sort of explain coding to younger kids through any tools. There are a lot of open source tools available for coding and for website building and all this stuff. So I see that perception of schools is changing. They also feel that only academics is something that, uh, I mean, school's purpose, right, in terms of delivering only academics in 10, 15 years before when I studied, there's no much of sort of internet where you go. Like you have only one delivery source of information through teachers, through textbooks. But now that is not the case. And schools also like have realized it. Now they also sort of adapting to see what best we could offer. And that's when we realize a lot of schools are now coming forward to want to set up their own maker spaces in schools. They feel, how can I access these technologies to all my children in my schools? How can I access the STEM learning to all my children? And that's when school's true purpose is sort of achieved. You give a holistic experience, be it sports, be it art, or be it academics, be it technology, within curriculum, apart from the curriculum. So I see that change is sort of happening. And when some schools will feel they're not ready to accept no, I could really empathize. Their priority is not that now, because I understand in such a way that they have a much bigger problem now to solve. than do the setup of the lab. Maybe let me give them 1 year time, again hit their doors and say, how are you ready now to sort of, I think at one point of them they'll be ready. So it's more about how at what point of time the institution is ready. But I feel everybody will sort of be into this sort of ecosystem. I'm predicting in next 5 years in India, you see a lot of these integrations of these systems within the school, and that's going to be healthy. And if it's done right, and if its policies are right, and it's done for its true purpose, and it's not done only for the sake of doing it, if it's done for its true purpose of the lab and for the integration, I think we will see a lot of these impact coming out as outcomes.
No, yeah, that's rightly said. And I still remember my 8th class when I was introduced with HTML code. Like I was like HTML and then head tag and all those things. I was like, oh, that's very difficult. But it's interesting to how you communicate with the computer through website development, software development, and Android app development. I was
Yeah.
attending one of the session. There was a Google Dev Fest going on in Gurugram, Haryana, India, and it
Mhm.
was, I guess, before the lockdown, 2019, somewhere. And I was sitting in the audience, and there was one Google Assistant workshop was going on from one of the Google speaker, and I saw there were two kids sitting aside to me in the back of the chairs, and I was like, "Hey, what you are doing here?" It's a Google Dev Fest. It's for college graduates and young professionals who are professionals and industrialists who are
Mhm.
contributing into AI and ML. I was shocked when they replied back, hey, the speaker to whom you are listening, he invited both of us. And I was like, wow, that's amazing change which we have seen from
Yeah.
our school days and what we are able to see these days. Like the 6th class student, 5th class student, or 4th class grade student, they are able to
Mhm.
understand how to operate the smartphone, how to use Instagram, Facebook, and all
Yeah.
those things. It's very transitional to see this kind of interesting changes. But yeah, obviously it's dangerous as well, depending upon how they are pressurizing to their academic. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's a plus 50 to 50 contribution
Yeah.
where you learn about academic science and all those things and contributing into the practical knowledge. So
Yes.
that was really nice to hear from you, Harish. Today it was really great collaboration every time when I collaborate with you through different IEEE activities. And thank you so much for your presence. It was really a truly great privilege for IEEE India Council and specifically IEEE India Council Vaani newsletter to have you today. And with that, I would like to invite you if there's any last remarks from your side.
Sure. I'm very thankful for the opportunity because I feel opportunities like this will also help me to reflect on my thoughts because a lot of the thoughts, once a podcast released, I think I'll listen to it once again because a lot of these points is something that, I mean, based on the questions, it also helped me to reflect what I'm doing currently and what I could do more. And I could also have a lot of takeaways from this, from the podcast itself. And for the people after seeing this, we have something to say. I mean, through them, I'm also learning a lot, and I'm also connecting with people aligned to this idea or who are doing wonderful work. And all, I'm always looking forward to learn from those people and collaborating. So I feel it's also a space where collaboration happens and real impact on the ground happens. So I'm always happy to be part of initiative like this and looking forward to a more such podcast. I'm looking forward to next set of speakers as well. So thank you, Ramnik, for the opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Harish, for those remarks. And obviously, collaboration is what we emphasize in today's podcast. And specifically, if I talk, someone talks about me, hey, how we can, as a volunteer, can contribute and get to know about IEEE and other things. So there's only three mantra which I use to spread out across the world around my webinar. That is PV and model. As a
Hmm.
researcher, I actually used to convert an abbreviation into a model. So it's a PV and model of IEEE, participation, volunteering, and networking. And that's the
Okay.
essence of understanding, right? Like today this podcast will get released and people will able to participate into it and will network with you through
Yeah.
different channels, through Infinite Engineers and through your LinkedIn profile. And obviously they will get to know about IEEE Try Engineering and different pre-university education activities,
Yes.
what they can do through IEEE panel for the school education and enhancing that. So with that, thank you so much, Harish, once again, and thank you so much to all the viewers and listeners who are gonna listen this podcast soon and will be sharing their remarks in the bottom of the video. And we will be sharing all the insights, Infinite Engineer website, and specifically all the IEEE resources of how you can get started in the journey of pre-university education and enhance your own self for public speaking and career development for others. With that, Signing off, Ramnik from IEEE India Council as the editor of IEEE IC Vaani 2022. Please take care, stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you.